Hey everybody, welcome back. It's author MD New, and I am here today to talk about more writing tips and tricks for authors. But instead of talking about the actual craft of writing, I thought we would dive into something that has more to do with the marketing and PR. That's right, we're going to talk about doing either an in-person book reading or a virtual book reading. But before we get into that, I'm going to ask you to please like this video. If you haven't already, subscribe. And don't forget, if you have questions or comments, leave them below. I always love hearing from folks. I love getting back to everybody. I've gotten some great comments and I've gotten some great questions. And in fact, one of my videos was because of a viewer like you suggested a topic. So please take a minute, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and pop a comment down below. Now that we have finished with all of that stuff, let's talk about book readings. This is going to be the same for either live in-person book readings or virtual book readings. They're basically the same beast for people. I understand that authors in general, myself included, don't like speaking in front of the public. We tend to be a little bit more introverted, a little bit less outgoing. However, making those personal connections with your readers and doing book readings is imperative. It is something that even if you do a couple of them, just to do one or two, getting out there and meeting folks and having people hear your story from you is invaluable. I've been very lucky. I've gotten to do quite a few in-person readings and a lot of virtual book readings. So I have a little bit of experience in this, and also I do have a theater background, so I did study theater in college a bazillion years ago, so I tend to not have so much of a problem putting myself out there, even though I still don't like pictures of myself, but hey, who really does, right? I mean, I suppose there are some people, but anyway, I digress. So, doing a book reading. There are 3 tips that are really going to help you prepare for a book reading. And again, like I said, this is for either a virtual reading, meaning online, so if you do it through Facebook or YouTube or wherever, TikTok, whatever you do, you have that, or an in-person reading. Recently I did a reading up in Sacramento, and I thought about it and I was like, all of us authors were talking because we did a group reading, and readings can be really challenging and stressful for everybody. So I thought, that sounds like a really good topic for me to cover. So the first thing that I recommend you do is practice. Practice the piece you're reading several times. Now, a good rule of thumb is you want to do a reading of about 1,000 words. That can be in the realms of about 7 to 8 to 10 minutes, depending on how quickly you speak, how slowly you speak, etc. So practice out loud. So plan for about 1,000 words, give or take. That can change because you don't really want to end your reading on a bizarre thing, but I'll talk about that in a minute. Pick a section that you want to read that's about the appropriate length and practice. Read it out loud. Practice in front of a mirror. Practice, practice, practice. And you don't have to worry when you get up there in front of people. You're not doing a cold reading, right? You're up there, you've kind of prepared, you've practiced. Yes, you're going to be nervous. Yes, you're going to have butterflies. Yes, it's still going to be very nerve-wracking for you. But you've had the time to practice, you've done it in front of a mirror, and you know the words. Even though you wrote them, sometimes, you get those, you get up there and you start reading it, and all of a sudden these words that you've written become a foreign language. So by practicing ahead of time, multiple times, that will help alleviate that worry and anxiety. Following up on that, don't worry if you change up the words, because people won't remember. What I find when I do a reading is after I've practiced it once or twice, I'll go in and I'll change some of the words on my script that I'm going to be reading from. I tend to read from a printed out script versus the actual book because I don't like to mark up my books. But so I'll print out the section I'm going to read. That way I have it nice and big so I can read it. It's nice and clear. And I can cross things out, highlight something, put in my little notes. So I know to emphasize something, or to take a breath, or to remember to breathe, or in this case, if I want to change the word, because it just, when you read it out loud, it just doesn't sound natural and good. You kind of want to make that change. It's like, okay, yeah, I don't like the way that sounds. So you can go in and change it on your script, and it'll read a lot easier for you. Now, I'm not saying make huge changes because you don't want the story to be that much different, but little words here, a change there, because the reader won't remember, right? So that's kind of the big thing to keep in mind. Next up, and this is kind of one of those things that I know people who do this. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. If you want to memorize the piece you're reading, go for it. But you don't have to. So anybody who tells you, oh, you should memorize it, you should have it so you don't have to look at anything. No, I mean, if you can, fantastic, go for it, do it, that's great. But otherwise, just practice it a few times, become familiar with the words, become familiar with how you're saying the words, and just stand up there, read it. And what's nice is if you've practiced it enough, you can break and you can make eye contact with folks, you can look around, then you can jump back and you still know where you are. So there's a little bit of memorization there, but you don't have to memorize the whole thing. So I don't want anybody to stress out and think, oh my God, I have to memorize 1,000 words. No, you don't have to do that. You can if you want, but you don't have to. Now, some bonus things that have helped me when I have done public readings is, like I said, for one, I go in and I will, after I've practiced, I'll make notes, I'll change things, and in my notes, I'll have things like, breathe, or break, or pause. And these are things that actually I learned in acting when I was doing scripts and stuff like that. You'd make these little notes in your script so you knew that, okay, when I get to this point, I have to breathe, or I have to pause, or, look up and make eye contact, or things like that. Any little notes that will help you. And these are little notes. These are like 1 word, 2 words. Maybe that's it. Take a highlighter, and if you want to emphasize certain things, highlight it. If you have words that you made up, use a different color highlighter. Highlight those so you know that they're coming, and you can be prepared for how to say them correctly. Because what people will notice when you're doing readings is if you're stumbling over your own words. And they're not going to care. They're going to be really, really forgiving. But for me, at least, I know I don't like to stumble. And I do. Obviously, if you've watched any of these videos, you know I stumble a lot. But you want to minimize that. So that's just kind of a bonus tip, is to just go in to it, have it printed out, and just write your little notes on there and practice. And if you change a word here, change a word there, that is totally fine. So I really hope this helps you, because book readings are amazing. Another bonus tip, and I almost forgot this, is if you go to a book reading that you're doing, if you can have somebody go with you and take a video of you doing the reading, or take pictures of you doing the reading, you can use those on your social media feeds. Everybody talks about, using, videos and stuff like that. Well, doing a reading is a great way to do a video. You can cut snippets from it, you can post the whole thing, you can take you have your pictures of you doing a reading, and then followed up by a signing, because when you do a book reading, people are going to be interested in your books and they're going to want you to sign the books that they just bought. So also keep that in mind. Book readings are a great way to sell books. So if you're leery of doing, a reading, remember, those typically equate to sales. Maybe not a lot, maybe just a few, but still, it's a great way to get out there and to sell some additional books. But using those pictures that you get from the book readings are fantastic, because it shows that you're out there, and you can post them on social media and all that fun stuff. Same with the videos. All right, everybody. I hope this helps you. I really want to hear your experiences with book readings. Let me know what works for you. If you have tips and tricks on how to survive a book reading, uh, let me know down in the comments below. Otherwise, please, again, like I said, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, share this content with fellow authors. You know, everybody struggles, and maybe something that resonates with you this week might resonate with somebody else. So just kind of keep that in mind. And really, guys, thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.